Red Dead Redemption 2 shows how far single-player open-world games can go through the life of Arthur Morgan. After the failed robbery in Blackwater, the Vanderlyn gang tries to escape both federal agents and the growing problems within its own ranks during the final days of the Wild West. As the gang begins to fall apart, the conflict between Arthur's loyalty to Dutch and his own conscience becomes increasingly difficult to ignore. Camp conversations, small events that unfold along the road, and the way people react to your actions make the world feel not only vast, but genuinely alive. Gunfights, hunting, and long journeys become a natural part of this life, but Arthur's transformation leaves the deepest mark. When Red Dead Redemption 2 ends, it leaves behind more than a completed story. It leaves behind a life you will remember for a long time. Clair Obscur Expedition 33 begins with a brutal story in which the paintress writes a new number on the monolith every year, causing everyone past that age to disappear from the world. When she paints 33, Gustav, Mael, and the other members of Expedition 33 set out to end this cycle instead of waiting for their turn to come. As the journey continues, the mission becomes less about saving the world and more about people facing loss, fear, and the value of the time they have left. The turn-based battles never feel passive because you still need to dodge attacks, parry blows, and counter at the right moment. With its Belle Epoque-inspired world, powerful music, and unforgettable characters, Clair Obscur Expedition 33 is a modern single-player game that anyone who loves turn-based RPGs, exploration, and strong stories should try. The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt is one of the games that shows just how deeply a single-player RPG can draw you in through its world, story, and choices. As Geralt, you begin a long journey to find his adopted daughter Ciri. Your path takes you from villages torn apart by war to the crowded streets of Novigrad and the islands of Skellige. During monster hunts, you follow tracks, study weaknesses, and prepare with the right potion, oil, or sign. You quickly learn that knowing what you are facing matters just as much as being strong. Your decisions can change the fate of characters and the outcome of the story, while the powerful side quests make the world just as memorable as the main adventure. Geralt's personal search for Ciri, combined with two major expansions, makes The Witcher 3 a classic that anyone who wants to see what single-player games can achieve should not miss. The Last of Us Part 1 turns Joel and Ellie's journey across post-apocalyptic America into something far more personal than a simple story of survival. At first, Joel sees taking Ellie out of the quarantine zone as nothing more than a job that needs to be completed. But as they travel through ruined cities, infected creatures, and ruthless groups, the two slowly learn to trust each other. Limited resources make every bullet valuable, stealth often becomes the smarter choice, and even the quiet moments carry the weight of the story. The rebuilt facial animations and environmental details make the characters' emotions feel even more powerful. If you enjoy story-driven single-player games, Joel and Ellie's journey is one you absolutely need to experience.
Do another once-over and then head out. Getting close to curfew.
What about Robert? Who's he holing up with?
Don't kill me, man! Please, please!
God of War brings Kratos back as an older warrior, while turning him into a father who is trying to control his anger. The journey he begins with Atreus to scatter Faye's ashes from the highest peak soon grows into a confrontation with the Norse gods, while slowly closing the distance between father and son. The Leviathan axe makes every strike feel heavy, while throwing it and calling it back to your hand constantly changes the rhythm of combat. The single-shot camera never breaks the impact of a moment, whether you are in the middle of a battle or listening to a quiet conversation. Midgard's frozen lakes, giant creatures, and hidden areas also make the journey visually unforgettable. God of War's greatest achievement is the way it brings enormous battles and small father and son moments into the same story, showing Kratos for the first time as less of an unstoppable god and more of a man who is afraid of losing someone again. Elden Ring is not the kind of open-world game that simply shows you a huge map and sends you chasing markers. Throughout the lands between, the castles, swamps, underground cities, and massive bosses do not just look impressive. They constantly make you change direction and try something new. When an enemy feels too strong, you can head to a different region, develop your character around your own playstyle, and return to approach the same fight in a completely different way. The story is not placed directly in front of you, but as you study the world around you, the past of this shattered land slowly starts to make sense. With its powerful art direction, freedom in how you play, and a journey that unfolds differently for every player, Elden Ring is one of those rare games that can still show you something new even after dozens of hours. Grand Theft Auto V is one of those rare games that brings the stories of three criminals together in a single open world without ever losing its momentum. Michael's attempt to escape his past, Franklin's desire to build a better life, and Trevor's uncontrollable rage constantly collide across Los Santos. Switching instantly between the characters lets you experience the same heist from different perspectives, while missions move naturally between driving, combat, and planning. The city does not exist only to serve the main story. With its streets, countryside, and random events, it feels like a living place of its own. GTA Online has grown into a separate phenomenon over the years, but the game earns its place on this list through the single-player story of Michael, Franklin, and Trevor. The reason it still feels so enjoyable to play years later is not just its freedom, but the way it brings three very different characters together in the same crime story. Ghost of Tsushima shows that being a samurai means more than knowing how to use a sword. It means living by the code you have sworn to follow. As Jin Sakai fights to save Tsushima from the Mongol invasion, he first faces his enemies through traditional methods. But as more of the island falls under Mongol control, he realizes that honor alone is not enough. Instead of following a screen crowded with markers, you use the wind to find your way, crossing flower-filled fields and burned villages while seeing the scars left by the war. Katana duels demand patience and precise timing, while using stealth inside crowded camps pulls Jin further away from the values that shaped him. The real impact of Ghost of Tsushima lies not only in its beautiful world, but in this transformation, making you feel the story of a warrior willing to risk losing his identity in order to save his home. Rise of the Tomb Raider connects the questions that continue to haunt Lara Croft after she survives Yamatai to the lost city of Kitej, hidden beneath the frozen wilderness of Siberia. Determined to uncover the secret of immortality and restore her father's reputation, Lara enters a deadly race against Trinity, which is searching for the same power. Snow-covered valleys, caves, and abandoned Soviet facilities do more than create a backdrop. The cold, wild animals, and limited resources turn every step into a struggle that requires preparation. Puzzles inside hidden tombs keep the sense of discovery alive, while combat lets you choose between stealth, using the environment, and direct attacks. If you want to see Lara transform into a true Tomb Raider through a strong story and a packed single-player adventure, this is one of the games in the series you absolutely need to play. Cyberpunk 2077 follows V, a mercenary who wants to become a legend in Night City, but ends up fighting for control of their own mind and body after a heist goes wrong. The relic stolen from Arasaka places Johnny Silverhand's digital consciousness inside V's head, and slowly begins to erase V's identity. From that point on, every job in the city becomes a way to earn money and stay alive. Night City never feels like a neon-covered backdrop. It feels like a ruthless world where corporations, gangs, and ordinary people destroy one another for personal gain. Missions let you rely on conversation, stealth, hacking, or direct combat, while memorable characters make every decision carry more weight. If you want a vast open world, a personal story, and characters that are difficult to forget, Cyberpunk 2077 is a single-player RPG you will struggle to put down. Skyrim begins with a grand story about stopping Alduin, the World Eater, but dragons are not the only reason players keep returning years later. After learning that you are the last Dragonborn, you can follow the main quest, choose a side in the Civil War, rise through one of Skyrim's factions, or spend hours exploring what lies beyond the snowy mountains. Skyrim's open world does not feel like an empty map covered in objective markers. A cave you enter, a stranger you meet on the road, or a ruin you spot in the distance can lead to an entirely different adventure. Your character also develops through the skills you actually use rather than a fixed class. Skyrim may not be a perfect game, but few RPGs still give you this much freedom to shape your own character, choose your own path, and create stories worth telling. Alan Wake 2 is a psychological survival horror game that tells the intertwined stories of missing writer Alan Wake and FBI agent Saga Anderson, who is investigating a series of ritual murders. Alan is changing the story he is writing to escape the dark place, while Saga is uncovering the supernatural truth behind the murders around Bright Falls. As you are switching between the two characters, you are seeing different sides of the same events, connecting the evidence and learning the rules of the darkness. Limited ammunition, light-based combat, and constantly shifting locations are keeping every chapter under pressure. The transitions between live-action scenes and gameplay are also taking the story beyond a conventional horror game. Thanks to its strong writing and bold storytelling, Alan Wake 2 is not only frightening you, it is pulling you into a dark mystery that you want to solve all the way to the end. Bloodborne may have been released in 2015, but it is still one of the first games that comes to mind when people talk about Souls-likes. That is not simply because it is difficult, it is because the game turns Yharnam's disease-ridden streets, its aggressive combat system, and its steadily growing cosmic horror into a single identity. When you enter the city as a hunter, the game does not give you lengthy explanations. Instead, you piece together what happened through locked doors, whispers, and grotesque creatures. Rather than waiting behind a shield, you regain lost health by attacking and use transforming weapons to change your range and tempo. Every failed attempt teaches you about a new shortcut, a boss pattern, or a safe moment to strike. That is exactly what keeps Bloodborne special after all these years. It is not merely an adventure you finish, but a personal struggle that leaves you feeling as though you truly overcame it. Batman Arkham Knight is not simply a superhero game about clearing Gotham of criminals. It is a dark finale in which Bruce Wayne struggles against his own fears to keep from losing control. As Scarecrow's threat of fear toxin forces Gotham to evacuate, the mysterious Arkham Knight emerges as a personal enemy who understands Batman's methods. Across rain-soaked Gotham, you glide between rooftops, tear through groups of enemies with the free-flow combat system, and hunt armed opponents one by one from the shadows. The Batmobile changes the pace of the night during pursuits, puzzles, and battles. More than a decade after its release, The lighting, rain effects, character models, and seamless cinematic transitions still look impressive. This complete package is what continues to make Batman Arkham Knight special. Its story, atmosphere, and gameplay do not simply let you control Batman. They make you feel the full weight of his most difficult night.
Oh, crap!
Uncharted 4 brings Nathan Drake back into the world of adventure years after he leaves it behind. This time, however, the treasure matters less than the life he risks losing. When Sam, the brother Nate believed was dead, suddenly returns, the two set out to find Henry Avery's lost fortune and the pirate colony of Libertalia. From the rocky cliffs of Scotland to the wide valleys of Madagascar, the journey blends climbing, combat, and exploration into one seamless cinematic adventure. Beneath the huge action sequences, a deeply personal story drives everything forward. Nate's promise to Sam, the secrets he keeps from Elena, and his inability to let go of adventure give every chapter more weight. Uncharted 4 does not simply deliver one final treasure hunt. It gives Nathan Drake the emotional and unforgettable farewell he deserves.
Heads up! I'll take that.
Let's cut through here.
007 First Light follows James Bond before he becomes the flawless agent we know, when he is still a young and reckless MI6 candidate trying to earn 00 status. A daring act during his time in the Navy brings him into the newly rebuilt 00 program, but his first major mission to track down a rogue agent quickly turns into a dangerous conspiracy reaching deep into the government. Across operations in different countries, Bond does not rely on his gun alone. He uses disguises, deceives guards, slips through restricted areas, and when things fall apart, finds a way out through vehicles or direct combat. Each mission tests both his intelligence and his reckless courage, while his mentor Greenway plays a central role in that transformation. Rather than presenting the legend fully formed, 007 First Light lets you experience how Bond earns that name from beginning to end. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 picks up directly after the first game and places Henry at the center of his unfinished quest for revenge and the war tearing Bohemia apart. His mission with Hans Capon quickly spirals out of control. Meanwhile, the open world stretching from the streets of Kuttenberg to rural villages never feels like mere scenery. Its laws, class divisions, and daily routines react to every decision you make. Settling a conflict through conversation, slipping through an area unnoticed at night, or drawing your sword can change the direction of the story and the way people treat you. Realistic combat, memorable side quests, and Henry's gradual development make you feel as though you are living his life rather than simply watching it. Its millions of sales and high review scores reflect that achievement. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 proves how completely a single-player RPG can transport you into another age.
Take cover!
Breath of the Wild shows just how powerful freedom can be in a single-player game from its very first hour. In Hyrule, you choose your own route, climb distant mountains, and use the rules of the world to shape your plan. Rain changes your path, fire opens new passages, and enemy camps push you to read your surroundings instead of relying on a single solution. Tears of the Kingdom takes that structure even further with sky islands, underground regions, and the vehicles you build. You overcome obstacles through your own ideas rather than predetermined paths. Both games make every discovery and every victory feel connected to your decisions. When you step into Hyrule, you are not simply entering a vast world. You are beginning an adventure that is incredibly hard to put down, and one that still makes you want to try something new even after hundreds of hours. Mass Effect 2 brings Commander Shepard back from the dead and sends Shepard after the Collectors, who are making human colonies disappear without a trace. But this mission is less about gathering powerful weapons and more about building a team that may never return. You recruit soldiers, scientists, and criminals from across the galaxy, then earn their trust by helping them confront the problems from their past. The choices you make during loyalty missions affect more than your relationships. They also determine who survives the final mission. Faster and more intense combat keeps the action moving, while conversations, tension within the crew, and decisions carried over from the first game make Shepard's journey feel deeply personal. Mass Effect 2 turns saving the galaxy into an unforgettable single-player adventure. You prepare a team you do not want to lose for one final mission, and you truly feel the consequences of every decision.
Get over here!
Crimson Desert brings medieval warfare, dragons, magic, and ancient machines together across the vast continent of Pywell in a single-player open-world adventure. After the Black Bears scatter the Greymanes, their leader Cliff crosses war-torn lands to find his surviving companions and rebuild the group. Sieges, battles in crowded cities, unexplored regions, and sudden events constantly change the rhythm of the journey through Pywell. Cliff combines sword fighting with close-range combat, throws enemies into the environment, and faces threats ranging from human armies to enormous creatures. Crimson Desert ties the spectacle of large-scale battles to a personal story of loss, while its world keeps opening the door to new adventures beyond every horizon and draws you into a journey you will not want to put down.